It's basically an executive committee meeting.
Precisely. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming out. I know it's chilly. We're going to get started here and call our meeting to order. It is 8:32, and if you'd like to stand with me saying the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Has everyone had an opportunity to review our financial committee meeting minutes from the 11th? If you have any adjustments or edits on that, please let us know. Otherwise, I'd like a motion to move for those, the acceptance of those minutes.
Second?
All right, and a second? Second, thank you. All right. We're going to go ahead and adopt those. Doesn't sound like we have any more to do with those. We've got our financial results. Mr. Walker, he's going to walk us through those from November.
I like to play on words, Ms. Clark. Mr. Walker is going to walk us through these. So thank you for that intro. I appreciate that. We're getting the band started here. We'll start off here with the month. Overall, it was a really good month here for Metro. Going from the top down, total revenue came in at $14.7 million, which was about $250,000 favorable or greater than what we had budgeted. The big piece of that was the sales tax revenue coming in greater than we'd budgeted, about $488,000, along with the non-transportation, which is our investment income, and we also received some bus proceeds from a fire we had earlier this year. So putting those together added us to be, favorable for the month. The favorability was slightly offset by the fare revenue, which was under budget due to some lower ridership than we had expected, as you can see here. But all in all, a good revenue month for us. Looking down at the expenses, they were unfavorable, or we spent a little bit more than we had expected on during the month by about $150,000, or like I said, 1.1%. The increase in our spending was due primarily to wages and benefits, along with the parts and supplies, which are still kind of a thorn in our side that we're looking to manage with some fixed price contracts that we've been talking about. On the wages side, a couple pieces there. We're getting fully staffed here. I think the operator headcount was at 560 on the fixed route side, so nice to see there, along with a lot of individuals in training. And, so that resulted in some additional spend there, along with some of the overtime. But all in all, you net those two numbers together, we had an operating capital contribution for the month of $1.1 million, which was favorable by about $100,000 to our budget. As I mentioned, the ridership was down to budget, also slightly down compared to last year. Natalie, let's go to the next page. As we all know, this is my favorite page. Really, the reason it's my favorite is that, other than having a lot of numbers, it does show us the year-to-date process and progress that we've made. Looking at the revenue year-to-date, you can see we're about $220,000 under budget, our 0.1%. So really call it straight to what our budget number is. But again, if you look at how we compared to last year, we're about $11.4 million, or about 8% greater than last year at this time on the total revenue line. So all in all, some good news there. Looking down at the expenses we have spent less than we'd expected. Call it $229,000 throughout the year, or 0.2%. Compared to prior year, the spending is only up 5.8%. So with spending up 5.8%, revenue up almost 8%, that's some good news for us, and you can kind of see netting those at the bottom line. It's $3.7 million as our operating capital contribution so far for the year versus $3.7 million that we had budgeted. Mr. Kevin Ruth, hand up. There we go. Some great budgeting. As I mentioned this the last couple of months, a good bottoms-up budgeting process has really helped us identify, any efficiencies that we need to gain, any variances. But again, a great job by Kevin and his team and the entire Metro organization for us through the first 11 months here. So really good news here. Next page, Natalie. Here's our standard sales tax slide. You can see the movements. Bottom line, I really want to highlight is just January through August, we have the actual data in, And when you look at it compared to budget, we're about $908,000 greater than what we had expected for the year, or about 1.1%. But really the telling sign for me is looking at how we compared to last year, January through August. And we're up about 3.7 million, or 4.8% compared to last year. So some good trending on our sales tax. As we all know, that represents about 70% of our funding. And so great news to see that kind of increase year over year.
Mr. Walker, is the August numbers of what we just got in, and those are below last year. Is that to do with the sales tax holiday in August?
It does a little bit, Mr. Metz. And so what we've done this year, we've received the August actual data. But again, also what we've done is we booked an accrual this month that last year I think was reflected in September a little bit. So I'm not sure how we put it on the chart here, but because of the sales tax holiday, we received an extra $1.4 million payment in December. Which recall last year was one week. This year we have 2 weeks in our sales tax holiday. We reached out to the state to try to get some indication on what this year's will look like, which we expect will happen in the next couple of weeks. They said that yes, a payment's coming because of the holiday. Couldn't give us an idea. So what we did is we felt like booking what we received last year, being 1 week less, was a conservative approach. We discussed that with another larger agency in the state of Ohio to see what their plans were, and they were doing at least the same thing. They were kind of keeping the door open to booking a little bit more as an accrual. But what we wanted to try to do for the agency here is to have something that was illustrative of our progress. And because the holiday was in August, we felt it was appropriate to book the accrual. Okay. Right, let's go to the next page, Natalie. This is our standard view of the cash flow and obligation report. As we know, this is we have $148 million in the operating fund, and this really just want to highlight these are the expectations for our spending. It may be a capital project this year, next year, or 2 years away. And just to make certain that we keep an eye on this, we can't spend the $148 million overnight. This is something that we need to keep an eye on, and we manage to this. And as long as we have a positive bottom number, it's all great news for us, and that we can meet our obligations and also some planned obligations that we have in the future. That's all we have for finance. Any questions from anyone here in the room? Yes, Ms. Clark.
I just want to talk about our $600,000 surplus. How confident are we that we're going to be able to, that we will have that for year end?
Relatively confident. Okay. I mean, as confident as you can be, Ms. Clark, not knowing how December, right now we're call it 7-8 days in. Okay. But it's something that we don't believe we'll see a deficit. Okay. In December.
Are there any thresholds that we keep in mind or bear in mind when it comes to our liquidity for this?
What we've done, Ms. Clark, is when we look at our 5-year plan, we want to make certain that looking at our obligations, our capital plans, and our forecasts that Kevin Ruth and his team work on, that we, at the end of the 5 years, we always have money in the bank on the bottom line. And so all of our actions and all of our management of our finances has an eye on ensuring that we can keep pushing out any deficit into the future. And when we look at our 5-year plan, we have cash at the end of the 5-year plan, and positive cash.
With respect to liquidity, you'll see on this slide here the overnight investments, right? So again, as Tim mentioned, and as he alluded to with Kevin, we keep track of our capital spending. We know what our monthly spending is from an operating perspective, but we keep track of that capital spending and the timing of it. So Kevin's meeting with project managers on a quarterly basis to see where that spend may hit, to make sure that we can pay any capital bills as they need to be paid. Again, trying to maximize the return on our investments. We don't want to keep too much cash in the overnight account, but we make sure that liquidity is not an issue.
Quick question. Can you walk me through the BRT capital reserve obligations? We have 2 numbers there. What are they for? Timing around that?
I don't know. Do you want to cover this, Andy or Khaled?
Yeah, I mean, I can come from a high level.
Yeah.
So if you recall, a couple years ago when we entered into project development, the board authorized us to enter that stage of the project, and with that, we informed the federal government that we had $37 million to enter into project development for these two corridors, right? So what you see in that top line, that $29 million, is the project development funds that have been set aside, less the amounts paid. And then the $40 million is the remaining capital match that will be required once we implement the project, and FTA pays their share and Metro pays our share. That's that $40 million, which is essentially the match. All of those combined will create the match, but that's why there's a distinction between the two of those. And that $29 million figure decreases every month as we incur project development expenses.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for that. We have our investment fund report.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. We'll go here, and again, as Andy was mentioning, looking at our overnight fund as well. What we do here, we have on the left side, this is our operating fund, where you can see almost $148 million, down slightly from last month. The MTIF fund is $159 million. So this is a detail of the different investments, along with what we have in overnight investments with the Star of Ohio money fund. The one thing I do want to highlight is our yields are staying as strong as can be expected. They're down slightly month over month, operating 417 to 414, MTIF 420 to 413, but they are all exceeding any kind of benchmarks we'd be looking at from a total yield perspective. For an example, the one-year Treasury bill, as of the end of October, was 3.7%. November, it's 3.6%. The same with the 3-month, it was 3.8% in November, and the 1 month was 3.96. So it's great to see that our yields are strong, which is wonderful for us. The balances are staying stronger than we'd expected, which is one of the reasons why the investment income has exceeded our budget number. The yields are staying stronger than we'd expected, along with the balance. But it's nice to see that our yields are staying stronger, as strong as they can be. We do expect those to go down, and we budgeted for those to go down starting next year. Any questions on this report?
I'm also a fan of the yields. Obviously, that's good. That keeps us in a good position there. I do have some slight concerns about down at 3.4 million. For the month, are there any, outside of operations, do we expect that that's going to continue going into next quarter, or will that stabilize because we've got some parts and supplies, fixed costs coming and things like that?
Yes, so we expect the balance to go down throughout the year, because this also does cover the capital. So when
Yeah.
you look at it, we will have capital spending. A lot of that's just going to be timing, Ms. Clark.
Okay.
We'll have some natural operating pieces as well. But for the most part, the negative spend you see on a month-over-month basis will be for capital-type projects.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I'll move approval.
Thank you. Could I get a second? Second. Thank you. All right. All those in favor? Or is this voice vote? Roll call. No, it's voice. It is voice. Okay. All right. Natalie's going, no, it's not voice. I'm like, then it's not a roll call. She's like, no, okay. It's got to be one of them. All right. Thank you. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? All right, let's move on to, I'm sorry, we do have approval of that investment funds report. Let's move to our excess workers' compensation, please. Ms. Julie Baird will present this information.
Good morning, everybody. So the action item is to request the Finance Committee to approve our 2026 excess workers' comp coverage. Didn't have a lot of change from last year. Our premium is down 5% to $132,000 for the year. One thing you'll notice is that we have a new carrier, which is Safety National. Safety National merged with the carrier that we used last year, U.S. Specialty, and with that merger, they acquired the renewal rights for these coverages. So pretty straightforward, and if you have any questions. Okay, thanks.
All right. I'll move for the approval of this workers' compensation. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
All right. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we are also going to approve that item. We have some new we don't have any new business. At least I don't have any. Does anyone else have any? Then I recommend that we move directly into executive session to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, the sale of property at competitive bidding. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Oh, there's, yeah.
This one's roll call. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Just sorry.
Okay. Please call the roll.
Ms. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Dreehouse,
Yes.
Mr. Etheridge,
Yes.
Mr. Metz, Ms. Sheets,
Yes.
and Ms. Taylor.
We are
All
in
right.
executive session. All right, good morning again. Welcome to the Planning and Ops meeting for December 9th, 2025. Pete had a conflict, so he asked if I could step in and try and run this meeting. So I'll do that. We said the pledge earlier, but with the break and everything, let's say it again. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. We have to approve the Planning and Ops Committee minutes from November 11th. I trust you've all had a chance to look at that, see if there is any questions or concerns.
So moved to approve the minutes?
Moved and seconded. No changes, so let's go ahead and approve this with a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say left. Abstentions? Abstained. We did pass that. All right, we've got a few briefing items and then a bunch of action items to consider. So let's take it away with the good news, executive team.
All right, thanks, Blake. Let's start with our most recent employees of the month.
Good morning.
Morning.
Real quickly, the Leadership Award, we have Keon Miller. Keon's been with us about 14 years. He started as an operator, moved into training where he spent the bulk of his career and has since moved into our new success coach position. But he's been recognized for his vital role in fostering a welcoming and supportive environment to all of our new operators and new employees, very courteous and prompt and professional. So congratulations, Keon. We also have Sheena Holmes. Sheena works in the Safety and Security Department with us. She's also someone who has promoted up through the ranks as from an operator. And she's just being recognized for her willingness to share her expertise and knowledge with others on the team. And she's consistently courteous and knowledgeable and very solution focused. So we want to congratulate Sheena. And then next we have Queensgate operator Montoya Ruff. So Montoya, in addition to being recognized for her OTP and attendance, is being recognized because when she was on her route recently, she spotted a small child on Hamilton Avenue in a T-shirt and a diaper with a little blanket walking down the street by himself. She immediately stopped her bus, pulled over, called RCC so they could dispatch the police, retrieved the child, and brought the child onto the bus with her and, kept him warm and comforted him while the police came to get the child and return him safely to his residence. So great job to Montoya for, again, that great work and just being a great employee and individual. Next, we have Ignatius Quarter. So Ignatius works in our maintenance area at Queensgate, and he is a janitor, or he cleans for us, and has just done a great job with keeping and ensuring that all the bathrooms are clean in the area that he is responsible for. Has a great attitude, always pleasant with others, and just a pleasure to be around and talk to. So that's Ignatius. And then next we have Bond Hill operator Stephen Holt. Stephen has just been recognized because on his route he is constantly receives recognition from our customers for his work with students and just the customers, some of the senior customers that are on his route. And so he receives recognition regularly for his great attitude and personality. So thank you to Stephen. And then finally, we have Bond Hill maintenance employee Ron Foreman. Ron is a longtime employee who's been with us, and he's just been recognized for the work he did recently when we had some challenges with the shortage of buses. He worked pretty diligently with the clerks to make sure that there were enough buses to get the work out, and any extra buses were out there on the road as well. So they wanted to recognize him for the great work he did with that. So congratulations to the October Silver Wheel winners.
All right. Thanks very much, Adrian. Yeah, let's keep the recognition going. The African American Leadership Institute recently held the 12th Annual African American Leadership Awards. This organization recognizes and salutes public servants, business leaders, and community leaders for their contributions to the African American community on a local level, state level, and regionally. Our very own Chelsea Clark was recently recognized with the receipt of the Greatest Expectations Award. And if you know Chelsea and everything she's into, it's certainly worthy of her work to have great expectations for what she does and what she will continue to do. She's being recognized for her contributions as a public sector leader, but also a business leader as well. So thank you very much, Chelsea, for going up to that state up north and bringing home hardware. The event was in Detroit, Michigan. Most of the leaders in their history is this is a very local, statewide thing, but Chelsea invaded. So well done. Congratulations. Now we'll turn it over to Bill for some statewide recognition for some of Metro's finest.
Yeah, thanks, John. At the recent Ohio Public Transit Association annual meeting in Columbus, we had 2 winners from our staff, which is fantastic. Congratulations to ADA and Accessible Services Director Lisa Olick, who was selected as the Mobility Manager of the Year for OPTA for her advocacy, innovation, and public service. As you know, Lisa has been here in that access space for many years and has really done a great job with that and has seen a lot of change over those years. And then not to fall in the shade of that, Mike Walms then received the 4 under 40 Rising Star Award. Received that for helping shape the future of public transportation. Mike is an up-and-coming leader in our organization. He's our inventory manager right now, and great recognition for both Lisa and Mike at the OPTA convention. Next up, staying with good news, safety is our highest priority. We talk about that every day. We talk about every trip every day in Access, Metro Now, and the fixed route system. And so last month for October, we celebrated at Access with our Access and Metro Now team. We achieved 0 preventable accidents for the month of November, which was fantastic. You can see some folks there celebrating. We brought in some pizzas and had a great celebration. The significance of this is Access has doubled in the last 2 years with the increase in service of Metro Now. So while we used to have about 75 or 80 employees, we now have over 130 employees, a lot more service with Metro Now. So achieving 0 preventable accidents was quite an accomplishment. So congratulations to the Access team.
Thank you, Bill. I'll cover this one. Christina Harvey, who's actually in the room today. Christina, could you stand up, please? Congratulations, Christina. While Bill and John were up in Columbus, I think Christina was across the street or down the street getting this award as the Procurement Manager of the Year by the Central Ohio Organization of Public Procurement. We want to congratulate Christina once again and thank you for all of your hard work. Thank you, Christina. Go on. We also did receive, we talked about some money earlier in the Finance Committee. These are some fundings we have going forward. So we just received word of a couple grants. Unfortunately, I don't think Mary Huller's in the room today, but thank you to Mary for all of her hard work and the grants team for getting those. The first one is $11.5 million for alternative fuel vehicles. The second one is a $2.2 million grant for mobility. It's going to be used, part of it with the One Seat, One Ride paratransit, along with the expansion of the Metro Now service in Montford Heights and Bond Hill. So great news to see the federal government coming in here. Thank you. Next slide. And Julie Beard was in here for the Finance Committee and she left, but really want to point out that Metro did receive once again, we didn't receive it last year, but we received it this year, the State Auditor Award. Great news. You have to have a clean audit opinion to be in consideration for this award, and we were one of the recipients. So congratulations to Julie and the entire finance team for this wonderful award. And the next item is tomorrow, we're having the Metro Small Business Expo at Great American Ballpark. So looking forward to that. As we know, since the passage of Issue 7, Metro has worked really hard with local partners in the community, especially small businesses. We want to see the small businesses grow, and the more these small businesses can grow, get additional work, we are funded by sales tax dollars. So the larger they become, the more sales tax they pay into the system, which we pay ourselves back a little bit. So again, that's tomorrow. Looking forward to it, and I'll be attending it. It's going to be my first small business expo at the ballpark.
All right, thanks, Tim. And you can't have a good news slide deck with awards and leave out Metro's comms team. So, Dave.
Thank you, John. Good morning. We recently, the External Affairs, Comms, and Marketing team recently took home 2 Blacksmith Awards from the Cincinnati chapter of the Public Relations Society of America. The winning campaigns that received the award was the Don't Blink and Drive campaign, which centered around our Blink special service that we ran in October, and the BRT branding public engagement efforts that we've been undertaking for the last years or so. And these awards actually celebrate the best of the best in PR activities in Cincinnati. And we're keeping up with the holiday cheer. We're going to be, this Saturday, we're going to be out at the Westchester Walmart from 12 to 3, continuing to stuff the bus with toys for the Cincinnati Recreation Commission. Then also starting on December 13th and going through the 28th, we are going to be operating our 2 holiday-themed Metro buses. Those will be gaily decorated for the holidays, and anyone who happens to just randomly select one of those buses while they're commuting will enjoy a free ride that day, courtesy of Metro. It's a way for us to give back and help our community celebrate. And on December 16th, we will be at Government Square from 12 to 1 with jolly old St. Nick himself. He'll be there thanking our customers and handing out some free rides. We also will be doing a special social media holiday giveaway the week of December 15th. So if you follow us on social media, be sure to check that out. If you don't follow us on social media, I have to ask why.
All right, thanks, Dave, and thanks again to the community who came out to take a stroll down Cincy Transit History Lane. We had our transit experience event at the Esquire Theater in the Gaslight District, a very unique event, but also encapsulates a unique history for transit in Cincinnati and a very bright and unique future ahead. So thanks to all who put the event together. Quite a success. That's the news.
Amazing. That's a lot of good news. Appreciate it.
Question.
We have a question.
About the Santa sleigh at Government Square. That I'm tickled about that. Is that something new? I don't recall we've done that.
I think we've done it.
Did we do that last year? I just missed it.
Yeah. Every year we're fortunate that Santa Claus actually works here at Metro, and he will join us down on Government Square with Andy and anybody else that would care to join. And it's just an opportunity for us to walk around and interact with our passengers and thank them for their support over the past year.
Do we have partnered with schools and things like that, or it's just
We do it at it's kind of a lunchtime celebrations when people are out moving around downtown to to thank our customers that use the service downtown.
Okay.
So next Tuesday, we have the full board meeting in the evening, but this is midday if you want to come down early, see Santa. And of course, Santa is a logistics expert, so it's always good to have him on a consulting role with.
Will Santa be the one driving the holiday-themed buses? We know?
Anything's
don't know.
possible.
Yeah, that's. We'll tell that, as it would be if it was sent, absolutely.
And the best way to spread Christmas cheer is to sing loudly for all to hear. So now I'm turning red. Item 3 on our agenda is ridership and service quality report, hot off the presses since we have an early meeting this month.
All right, thank you. Looking at ridership for November, it was just over 1 million for the November of this year compared to 1.25 budgeted, and about 7.6% lower than November of last year. The couple of the main reasons for the drop compared to last year are well, there was one less weekday in November this year compared to last year, but that doesn't account for the bulk of that. A couple of things that have kind of shown in the initial analysis comparing this November to last year. 2 or 3 main factors. One is Area D. By moving routes 21 and 78 in October, that did have an impact on the ridership. We used to Area D is accounted for just over 1,000 boardings, 1,010 boardings before the adjustments made. After the adjustments made, quite a few of those had to relocate or are not riding. Some of those relocated are using the stop before or the stop after Area D. So taking the ridership for all 3 stops, we are seeing a 44% drop in ridership on these 2 routes in that area. So that change to Area D had a significant impact on ridership for that particular location on those 2 routes. So it dropped by 44. That's about 450 boardings a day. The other factor is CPS. There were 529 fewer tabs on CPS from CPS students in November for multitude of reasons. Fewer transfers downtown. Well, I'm referring now to the total ridership. So let me back up here for a second. So for November this year, on a typical weekday, we were carrying 2,780 fewer passengers than November of last year. So of those, 529 were related to CPS students. So there were fewer CPS tabs. Could be because they're doing fewer transfers, or for other reasons, school activities and so on. So there was 529 fewer CPS tabs, in addition to the 44% drop in ridership on Area D. The other thing, the staff is still looking into that, but the initial analysis is looking at the efficiency of the networks from 22 to 23, 24, 25, and so on. As we're making these improvements to the network, we're seeing anywhere from 3 to 5% fewer transfers being required to complete their trips, which is a good thing for the customers, obviously, because the trips are more efficient. It's faster trip and so on. But that does impact, to some degree, some of the ridership as well. But we're still looking into the other things that we've been looking into for the past couple of months, and we'll come back to you with those. Next slide. Access. We carried just over 14,000 trips in November, slightly below budget by 3.9%. almost on spot with last year's November figure. Next slide, please. Metro now is still performing fairly well. We performed over 14,000 trips, slightly lower than the budget, but for obvious reasons, much higher than last year. However, I'd like to point out that year to date, 125,763 that exceeded. We're just exceeding our target for the entire year on Metro now. So this is great news for this particular service. Next slide, please. In terms of productivities, for local service, we carried 14.5 passengers per hour, just slightly lower than budget by 1.4 figure. Express 7.1 passengers per trip, lower than the budget as has been the case, but it's still doing fairly well given the circumstances, and we will continue to see that number to go up. Access productivity is 1.8 passengers per hour, slightly lower than the budget. And Metro now is, obviously doing fairly well at 3.7 passengers per hour for the two mature zones. Any questions, or turn it over to Bill?
I have a question. I think that, logistically and technically, it sounds like that we are trying to make some gains when it comes to ridership with the loss of those two stops. But I'm wondering, are there any other plans or strategies underway that even involve specific marketing campaigns to try to increase or stabilize our ridership?
So I think globally, if we talked about, one of our key strategies is to grow ridership. And as we look deeper into the analysis, we're trying to discern where we're seeing growth and where we're seeing some slippage in those numbers, right? We've seen a lot of growth in university program ridership. We've reported that over the months, which is a great thing to learn about. But that's being offset by some losses elsewhere. And Khaled kind of mentioned some of the spots where we're seeing some softness or some reduction in ridership. Trying to understand how much of that is related to the network and transfers and so on and so forth. So we need to dive into the numbers to see where we're seeing some reduction and where we're seeing gains to help inform that strategy. But we're always marketing. I mean, we're always, you heard what we're doing with respect to the holidays and all those kinds of things. We're always working on marketing campaigns. In 2026, we've talked about shifting our marketing campaign. We've done both, but more weight on tactical. This is where this route can provide this benefit to you, as opposed to reputational, right? And brand awareness. We've done a lot of that over the last few years. And as a team, we've talked about shifting more towards some of those tactical pieces as we've made changes. And we have, we've talked about a park and ride strategy to be more surgical in that communication. So more to follow on that, but obviously top of mind for us.
I think Stop D is also top of mind. I know continued discussions are going on about that. What's really interesting about that data is it shows a strong preference from our riders to board and alight at a transit center. And that's what I take away from that. And the number is so significant that it has to be true. It's not a test that I particularly would choose to run, but I will take that as a silver lining from this, that we've learned that lesson.
And indeed it is. I mean, 44% after a month, that is pretty significant. My really main concern is not getting them back. Mm-hmm. Because we've always talked about, other agencies across the country, when they cut service during COVID, that's why they're at 80%. It's because they lost their passengers and they've made, other arrangements. And we all know once you lose a customer in transit, you can't get them back, at the flip of a switch. So that's my really main concern is, how many of those are we gonna get back, if any,
and
and how long
we-
it's gonna take to do that?
We have some more diving in. It's been a short amount of time, so we still have some more diving in to learn more about that.
I didn't think that stop change was going to be permanent. Was I incorrect?
It's not.
It's not.
So what would be the temporary, do we have an idea of when that
Yeah,
changes?
we're continuing having those discussions with the city, and we'll be hearing some news soon.
It has been, writers and things, they reach out, they have their concerns, but there's a need. And a need was certainly being met. And so I want to make sure that they are also feeling that they are seen with these changes and things like that. So maybe even some more information on what that looks like for, I'm not even quite sure what that looks like when we change it from that kind of perspective. When there's routes that they're committed to using and used to using, and what that looks like and how we stay even tapped in, or I'm not sure what that looks like either.
Definitely more to come on that. Do we have more, or was that route specific from there? Oh, okay.
No, we switched to the service quality section of the report, and it's good news. In almost all of these charts, you can see that our fixed route on-time performance, we broke 80% in November, which was a high mark for us, going back quite a ways to hit 80%. So we are on the right track there, and we continue to work hard on that. Access on-time performance is right where we would like it to be, just under the goal, but very high. And we'll see that same thing with Metro now. On the next one, that continues also to be a success story for us, even with the additional zones continuing to have a high on-time performance for Metro now. Fixed route missed trips. We continue to work hard at this. We are slowly getting where we want to be, and we'll see some additional improvements as we go forward. And you can see as we compare ourselves to last year, that's where it really stands out, where we've been able to cut missed trips by more than 50% in comparison to last year, and we continue to make improvements there. And customer service reflects what you just saw in some of those other KPIs, because our customer service has improved significantly also in the last couple of months from where we were seeing it spiking up a little bit over the summer and early fall period of time. And then finishing that off with some good news out of our maintenance. You see that we were able to improve our mechanical service interruptions, and we were able to achieve over the 9,000 mark. We were just under where we wanted to be on our goal. So good news there with fleet reliability and overall service reliability for November.
Thank you. All right. Any questions, concerns? The board member? Nope. Okay. Metro Rapid update. Sharon?
Great, thank you. I'm going to give an overall update on where we are with federal funding, how we are advancing the project, and then end up with a summary of where we are on the transit-oriented development framework. Next slide. So I have some more good news. Both of our projects were identified, both of the BRT projects were identified in FTA's annual report to Congress with their funding recommendations. So both projects received a medium rating, which means that they are fundable from the federal perspective. And that is a huge milestone for these two projects. So give it up for BRT. There's no turning back. So one of the most important differentiations between the Reading project and Hamilton is that the Reading project is included in the FY 2026 budget, which is the last budget to be funded through the bipartisan infrastructure law. And then the Hamilton project was also read at meeting and included in fiscal year 2027. So Andy, do you want to add commentary there?
Yeah, so what that means from a federal perspective is we have a 5-year federal transportation bill, the bipartisan infrastructure law. That ends at the end of fiscal 26. The fact that Reading is in that pipeline means we need to try to achieve project readiness and get our contract with the feds done by September of 26. So we're on pace to do that, but it just means that there is a heightened sense of urgency with us getting the project to the point and the agreements in place so we can advance that corridor. That being done, the funding certainty is high because it is part of an appropriated bill. When we move into 27, you move into the first year of a unwritten bill. That could wind up being a continuing resolution, like a CR, to move the transportation bill for another year forward. But there is some uncertainty in that. I think every transportation bill in the last 30 years has been continued for at least a year. I know some have been continued for 3 and 4 years. But it's different because you're in that unknown space. So I think that's the context you're looking for.
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to stay on track with Reading for this project readiness by September. It's a dramatic, what's the word I'm looking for? Mitigation of risk if we can get that done.
And a wonderful opportunity for us. So next slide. So what that means is we have a lot of work to do in 2026, and we're looking forward to doing that with the board's help and support. One of the things that is first and foremost in our minds is getting to a grant agreement. And that grant agreement sets the top dollar bar for the project, both projects, right? And so once we sign that grant agreement, any additional cost will need to be borne by Metro. So between now and then, we are going to take every method that we can to analyze the cost of the project, to make sure that we have good project definition, clear understanding of roles and responsibilities in our third-party agreement, so that when we sign that grant agreement, we are certain of that dollar amount and we've mitigated any risk associated with the cost increasing during future phases. So that's again, we would need to get there by September of 26 for the Reading corridor, and then we're looking at probably June of 27 for the Hamilton corridor. Very much doable. At this point, we have great teams in place. Next slide. So all of the things that need to be done are shown here on this slide, and then there are a lot of subparts to each of these, but advancing our agreement, getting to a third-party agreement with the city on who would do what long-term, refining our operating plans, getting input from a CMAR contractor. So construction management at risk, CMAR, is a contract delivery method that allows the contractor to come in early and help tell us, are your costs right? Are they in line with what you're seeing in the local industry? And it also puts some of the risk, like they're gonna come in, it's like buying a renovation on your house. They're gonna say, you know, your new addition to your house is $100,000. We're gonna have a guaranteed maximum price that we're gonna agree to. They assume the risk in delivering that at that price. So that's one of the benefits of using a CMAR. FDA also takes it very seriously in terms of what's included in the project, what's not included, what the costs are going to be. They don't want bad press that they gave us money to build a project and then we couldn't build it because there wasn't enough money. They've seen in the past, way back when, in the late 90s, a lot of transit agencies were getting money, going out, trying to build projects, not having to pay it back. So they have a project management oversight process where they will assign contractors to us and they will go lockstep through every single line, how many nails you need, how many screws, what kind of concrete are you using. And that's going to be a lot of the activity that's going to take place in 2026 to make sure that our dollars are what would be expected in the industry. We also will need a ICE, Independent Cost Estimator, and that is exactly what it sounds. It is a cost estimator that does their own thing. They look at our designs, they come up with a price, our designer has a price, and our CMAR contractor has a price, so that we all can get to that agreed upon price for this project. Other things that will take place is buying vehicles, buying property where we have small acquisitions for our ADA handicap ramps at the corners, the grant execution, and then at that point, we can start talking about getting reimbursed for some of the funds that we've spent, which is great news. And then we'll start construction. We're looking for Reading by the end of 2027. Next slide. When we met last time, we talked about the fall outreach and engagement, and we have successfully done another round of wonderful open houses, great attendance. We have also gone out and talked with the community councils, and I think we have 2 that are remaining that we will be reaching out to yet again. There were some that just weren't available in the fall, and we will get back with them soon. Next slide. All in all, this slide is updated. You've seen it before with the number of events and meetings that we've had, the number of participants that have come out to all of the various events. So now we're up to over 6,000 people who have actively engaged in the project development, that definition of what the scope is. Next slide. And we're hearing a lot of the same. I reported on this in our last meeting as well. People are starting to turn to the phase of, what about safety? What about security? What about, the humps, the pedestrian improvements that the city has put in place? Like really asking questions about what is this going to look like at the end of the day once it's constructed? How is it going to affect our regular routes? Lots of questions about how the BRT lanes will operate, how we'll handle fare evasion, how we'll handle the lane enforcement. At the time, federal funding was a question. We were on hold with the freeze, and that has now been lifted. There is encouraging work, as you have seen from the FTA's report to Congress about the projects. And many people are ready to get this on the road, and so are we. Next slide. We have completed the 30% plans, submitted those to the city, and have received and have been working on addressing comments with the city. We've continued to work on a number of things that are also foremost in their minds as well as ours. Pedestrian safety, minimizing impacts to traffic, minimizing impacts to the streetcar, reducing impacts to trees, and the need for protecting that drip zone that the tree provides, and then reducing our amount of acquisition that reduces our overall capital costs for the project, and minimizing parking losses and impacts. Next slide. We also did submit our environmental documentation for Reading to the Federal Transit Administration. They provided comments to us. We're in the process of revising those and resubmitting back. And we also have an ongoing review by the State Historic Preservation Officer. And we've had good news that that is kind of in process of review. They are very short-staffed at the state. They lost a lot of federal funding, so the FTA has granted them an additional 30 days to review this documentation. So hopefully by the end of the year, we will be out of the environmental phase. Next slide. Once we get through the environmental phase, it's all about preparing for construction. And in doing that, I mentioned, we really need a clear project definition, project scope, project cost, and that is what we will be focusing on for the remainder moving forward. Advancing the design to 60, 90, 100% so that we have construction drawings, working with the city to make sure that we're representing their interests and that the project can be permitted at the end of the day, getting our CMAR contractor up on board so that they can participate in that process and be able to say, this is, maybe an option that you want to consider for staging the project during construction. It costs less for us to do it this way. All of that valuable input that we need from a contractor before we actually get to that grant agreement dollar amount, right? Getting our independent cost estimator up and running so that they can do that work too. I mentioned going through a risk assessment process with the FTA and their project management. We have to pass through a project readiness hurdle with FTA, and a lot of that is focused on the dollar amount. It's also focused on the staffing and our ability to deliver. Third-party agreements, and at the end of the day, that construction grant agreement that sets our dollar amount for the project and for our reimbursements. Next slide. So next time that we meet, we will be bringing forward a recommendation for a construction manager at-risk contractor. We have gone through the procurement process and are in our final stages of making the evaluation on which of the firms that submitted through this process who would be the best one to move forward with. And then we also have a procurement out route right now for that independent cost estimator. And once we have a selection, we would also be bringing that to the board. Next slide. We have had some exciting work and meetings around transit-oriented development. So this is really where not only does the construction cost of the project have a regional economic impact, right? Because we're going to be hiring people to be performing the work to build this project. We also want to look at opportunities for long-term economic growth for the region. And one of the great things that BRT does is provide that fixed route opportunities where we have stations that are set so that a developer knows that we are investing in this area. And when I say we, I mean we as a transit agency and the city and the region is investing on making our corridors better. With that, developers, as soon as they hear that we have a construction grant agreement in the federal process, those who are used to doing work in transit-oriented development space will come out of the weeds. They will come and visit us. They will come and visit you as a board member. They will visit city council members, and they will ask, we want to build something. Where shall we build it? And our TOD framework is really going to help identify where you can help send them. So which area, if you have a developer that focuses on housing affordability, then if you look at the chart that is shown here, you see the areas that have a lower than average multifamily rent. Those are probably better places for housing affordability and housing affordability policies to be put in place. Or conversely, if the city wanted to incentivize another area that has higher rates with more affordable rates, it points out what those areas are. So this framework really helps provide a tool so that when the developers start coming, and they will come, that we as a region, are shaping where the best policy fit is. And we're doing that in concert with the city. This is just the first step of the process. The next step would be the city taking the implementation to a higher level and creating station area plans for each of the stations. And it may identify things like there's not enough sidewalks here, there's not enough water or utility lines in order to support redevelopment or additional development. And so that will help align the region and the region's goals for growth with concrete plans in the station area plan development side. Again, that is not going to be something that we do at Metro, but we would be at the table with the city in, identifying what the transit-oriented piece of that development is. So that is a whole lot. We have been super busy, and I'm sure you guys have some burning questions.
Any burning questions?
So you've mentioned working with the city, but are there also, I would imagine, county and or like just other municipalities that we're going to be going through too, and wondering how those
Absolutely.
relationships are going and how those kind of decisions and things that need to be made.
Right. So for the Reading corridor, we are primarily in the city of Cincinnati. Of course, we have community development corporations along the way as well. So for third-party agreements, we will need agreements with the cities themselves that operate the streets. So Hamilton would also include the city of North College Hill and the city of Mount Healthy. And we have been out to both of those during the fall outreach and talked with the administrations there. And we'll continue to do that as the project progresses.
Okay, thank you. I'm just wondering, Dan, when the next row committee is, and if we want to kind of review some
January.
like station location kind of, and how, like what their asks are versus what, we would like to see out of some of those spaces. I don't know if that's something that you think could be.
We have a meeting in January. So first quarter, we'll be talking more about to that.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
And we're not yet at the point where we would be looking at specific maps of specific station locations in terms of surrounding development. The first piece is building kind of a framework.
Oh yeah, no, not
Yeah.
related to development, just the BRT specifically.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
So what's the request again, just to make sure I...
So we get these presentations, and as you said, this is a lot. Like these are very big, high-level overviews. And on the neighborhood and community level, there's a lot of interest in those like little details. And so there's times when, any given person is having a conversation about like, well, I heard the stop is going to be like this, or I heard it's going to be in this place, or this pedestrian safety thing is coming out, or this one's staying in. Those are conversations that are happening all the time. And so I thought maybe if our row committee could have a presentation specifically on like Reading stations, since those are the ones that will happen first, maybe both line stations, but something that gives us a better understanding of what the goals are, what the city is asking and or other municipalities is asking, and versus what we would like to be doing, that would help us in those spaces answer those questions.
Yeah, let's think through how we can get that information in that granular.
Similar to what you all do in those like community
in
spaces.
the meetings, yeah. And the specific information that was taken out to the public with those, this is where the station is sited on the northwest corner or the northeast corner. We have all that information and it's available. So maybe we can talk through how we might package that up to have that discussion.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
And we have posted all of the current plans that were shared in the public meetings and the public open houses on our website.
Yeah.
So if you do ever have someone that wants specific information, some of the design details are going to be in this next advanced design. But right now, the designs do have the marks on where the crossings would be at each of the intersections, and you should be able to see the bump outs.
I don't want to take up too much more time and get into the weeds of it right here and right now, and so that's kind of, but I have some thoughts and things that I think could, benefit from some clarification.
Okay.
So we'll just cover that there.
Absolutely.
You're sparking a few thoughts in my head too. Sorry, that's why I'm staring off. These are good topics. The only problem with more information on BRT just makes me want BRT here faster. So just gets me more and more eager. So thank you very much for these presentations. I think they're incredibly useful and they build over time to help the board to answer questions and the community to understand about what's going on. So thanks again.
I
Oh, we
just
still have more questions.
I'm sorry, I
Read
don't
the
have a
room
question.
better. Sorry.
It's okay. No, you're fine. I don't have a question. I just have a comment. I think you've done an excellent job, obviously, but this, when it comes to CMAR, I've looked at so many contracts and had sat in on negotiations and things, and this is a gem. It's a pure gem to be able to try to lock in that pricing so that you can mitigate all those extreme costs down the road. I think that's beautiful, and I think that that's going to be one of the ways that we are going to be so successful and be within our budget on this project. And I think it's a big win. I'm not sure if that was always going to be the case, that this was going to be folded in, but you don't see this a lot, and so I think you've done an excellent job with that.
Yeah, and one more thing on that, and thank you, Chelsea, for that note. In addition to locking in the cost, the additional advantage, a big advantage to us by using CMAR is typically the typical process is you have a design team who are going to do the design and you bid it out, contractors bid and they build it, right? So the contractors who are going to build it get the design after it's complete. In this case, CMAR, we're bringing them in as we're after 30% of the design. So they're involved in the design itself, making recommendations to the designers that, because they're the contractors, they know how to build things. Like, if you change this slightly this way, or if you use this material, we can save time and save cost. So at the end product, it's going to be, more cost effective. And we don't have to bid it out, so we save time as well. And the contractor has been involved in the process, so they can get, hit the road running with it. So it's saving time and saving money as well.
I love it. I love that. I would love to, just because I'm a geek, I would love to just be able to see the potential cost savings with it. You can just email it to me just so I can be excited about it. That's all.
Oh, we will have value engineering workshops and more and more, so we will.
Excellent. Value engineering. That makes you excited.
That's right up my alley. I love it.
And this is really the value of doing scanning tours and visiting other agencies who've done similar projects. We had no idea about CMAR. We didn't know about it.
That's what I'm saying.
And when we visited the Albuquerque, there were at least 2 other cities, who did CMAR, and they talked about it, and they recommended that process. And then it's like, oh, you know what? Maybe we need to do that. It's still a new thing. Yeah.
I'm not seeing that. That's wonderful.
Excellent.
It's much more logical, obviously. Don't see it.
Albuquerque brings a lot of good things to Cincinnati. For those of you who know, I grew up in New Mexico. Okay. Number 5 is Government Square update.
Just a brief update. We had talked about providing the board brief updates monthly as we work through your motion that you put forward a couple months ago. We had the opportunity to draft a scope of work. We've taken that draft scope to our stakeholders, both the business community, our rider advisory committee, one of the rider advocacy groups, city, county, and got some good feedback on that draft scope. A lot of thumbs up, and they like the approach that we're taking. And we are now finalizing that scope so we can go out to market and try to find folks who can help us both look at the physical space and the way we operate downtown. So we hope to have that on the street here soon, and we'll keep you posted. But the discussion and the dialogue and the approach has been positive.
Thank you very much. All right. So we've got a number of action items. Tim, are you taking us through the
Yes, sir, I am.
matrix?
So we can go through the matrix here, and if we need additional data or information, we have the individuals here that can go through these. We have 6 items here on the matrix for this month. The first 5 items are more business continuity, business as usual type items. And they are all sole source or contract extensions or contract modifications that are, and the reason they're sole source, the reason they're the modifications and staying with the same vendor, these are business critical functions. There's a lot of interfaces. And I guess, you know, from an IT standpoint, a lot of the interface with our legacy system. So that's the reason why we have these here. The first one is the Trapeze maintenance agreement. Trapeze is our scheduling software that we use. APC reporting software, that's how we get our ridership data each and every month. UTA is the vendor continuing that contract. The third item here is annunciator remediation. And this is to put sound in our speakers for the visually disabled passengers that we have on all of our buses. That again is also with Trapeze. And then the fourth item is with Voorhees, Ms. Schaefer here, that's her firm. So continuing that relationship that we have. Fifth item is Paycor. As everyone knows, there are beginning the end-to-end cradle-to-grave software that we use here at Metro for all HR-related items, payroll-related items. That is a modification of the contract. And the final item here is with stakeholder surveys. That was a full-blown RFP that we went out, I believe it was 24 individuals. We had 10 that submitted bids, and ETC Institute was the selected winner after a robust procurement process. And again, for the committee, if we want any details, the staff is here to go over those. So, Mr. Etheridge, this is at your pleasure.
I don't see anything on this list that's particularly controversial that we would want to take out as an individual item for the full board meeting. It is important that we have these enunciators, right, for accessibility. We are diversifying our software from only using Trapeze, but we are still using them for the next 3 years, it seems. And then APCs, been through a lot on that for several years. We need APCs, we need those counts, we need them to be accurate. And I think UTA is a local company, so just wanted to call that out. Boris, thank you very much. And payroll, I would say we need to have that. So it is hard to see that large dollar value over 3 years. But again, it is a necessary item, and of course the stakeholder surveys as well. We need that work. I did have one question. So I'm seeing the 2025 max spend at 14 million. What was 2024, Andy? I think you told me the other day, but
Just south of 9 million.
okay, so that's 5 million, and the year's not quite closed out, right? So that's pretty impressive. Thank you for your diligent work on that. And it's always nice to have Gwen's picture up on the wall there to remind us of the importance of it.
I know Ms. Clark has a question, but I want to remind everyone here, these are all budgeted items, whether it be operating or capital. They're all in the budget.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Walker, I do. Thank you. Just quickly, so just the only reason for the increase contract price for APC is just because it expanded its ability to capture additional data.
In additional, it's extending the contract.
Oh, it's
Additionally,
okay.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
extending it too as well. Okay, thank you. That's all.
3 more years.
I had the same question. So it's fine. Yeah.
I thought you did.
Okay, then I think I can move these to the consent agenda, all of them together for the full board meeting next week. Any questions or concerns? How about a second? We have a second. So, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say left. Any abstentions? No abstentions. Motion passes. So those will be on the consent agenda for next week. And I think that gets us through our agenda, if I'm reading it right. Any new business? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Oh, whoa, wait, I was too fast.
I'm sorry, like 10 seconds. I just do want to say that we had a very robust and excellent opportunity to get together last week in our board retreat. And I think it was really, it was very, very, very lovely. It was nicely done. It was very strategic. We had a lot of really good things that came out of that. And I just want the public to be assured that, one, the team here is extraordinarily tactical in how they go about envisioning for the future, making sure that we are prioritizing the needs of our customers and things like that. And a lot of work went into making sure that that was a really, really inclusive event, that we were able to bring up some really, significant concerns that people also are bringing forth. So those things are coming. They're very thoughtful. We discussed it, and there's a really, really nice plan of action that all those things are going to be exercised and acted upon. And so I was really happy to be part of that. So thank you for the team for putting that together. Appreciate it.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. And the strategic planning process in my world is all the time. We'll continue to keep working on that. And it's great to be around a table with so many excellent folks to work on that. So, all right. Now we are adjourned.